Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Suwannee County Board of County Commissioners meeting of August 17th, 2021 at 5 p.m. At this time, if you'd please stand, Commissioner Fleming is going to lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Let's pray. It's up to my Father to come again in your most holy name. Thank you for all your blessings. Thank you for the weather. Thank you for things that were there. We pray to bless those that are in harm's way, those storm victims, the one that's in the earthquake. Father, we know that you're able to make a way. We need you. We love you. We thank you. Look on this meeting today. Give us strength. Give us wisdom. Help us to come together through your will. We thank you for our budget. We pray, God, that you bless us. Give us strength. Keep us safe. Lord, we realize that you made us and we know all about it. We trust and believe in your holy name. We know everything will be all right. Now bless it together, collectively. Help you do your will. Father, we ask these and all blessings. In Jesus' name we pray, man. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Fleming. At this time, our first item of business this evening is approval of minutes from our August 3rd, 2021 regular board meeting. Any questions, comments, or do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by Commissioner Fleming. Second by Commissioner Land. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving ahead to the consent agenda, I have, I'm pulling item number 3. The sheriff has asked for some clarification. So I have items number 2 and then 4 through 9. Do I have any questions or comments, or do I have a motion to approve those items?
I move that we approve those items.
I have a motion by Commissioner Land. Second by Commissioner White. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Sheriff, you please come forward. Item number 3 is approval of agreement with Neighbors Goodwin and Nickerson for legal counsel associated with American Rescue Plan Act. Sheriff, have a couple of questions, Mr. Harris, if maybe you could answer for clarification purposes.
Yeah, this won't take long, Ms. Randy. I guess my question would be, I guess we're going to consult them about what we can and can't use the rescue money for, obviously, or can you tell us a little more about what they're going to do for us?
My initial question goes directly to the conversation we had in the budget workshop about using it for law enforcement purposes.
Okay. Now, would he contact us, or we contact them, or he just?
He'll give us an overview of what it can be used for, kind of like we did with the CARES Act.
Okay.
And he'll speak to the issue. I've already contacted him.
Okay.
I called him and spoke to him and said, here's what we're interested in knowing.
Okay, so he'll just give his opinion about what we can and can't do.
That's right.
Thanks, sir. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sheriff. Commissioner Land, do you have any additional?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, Mr. Harris, looking at the not to exceed rate, and I know they got $30,000 in there. What do you suspect that bill's gonna come back at? Surely not $30,000?
No, when we did the CARES Act, it wasn't very much. I don't remember now, but it was nowhere near that.
Okay. That's all I got. I just wanna make sure. That's a big number for an opinion. I was like, whoa, 30 grand. I need to be a lot.
They're not doing a study. They're just offering an opinion.
What? Yeah, okay. Well, if it starts hitting 10, 15,000, how much you give us a call?
Yeah.
I mean, you want a number on it? I mean, I don't have a problem if you want to set it.
I mean, I feel a little more comfortable. 30 grand, that's a lot of money. I know what, I understand what Mr. Harris said. It's kind of a catch-all bucket maybe, but would y'all go along with something a little shorter just so we don't get?
How about 5,000?
Yeah.
I mean, if they get 5,000, they can't answer the question. We'll just stop.
Back up and punt.
Yeah.
I agree.
I've already spoken to them about this question. I did my own research on it. There isn't a whole lot out there from the Treasury Department on it. So I don't envision it taking a great deal of time for them to come back with a response. I mean, there's some general comments that were made that were not a part of the Treasury Department guidance that pertain to law enforcement, but I'm going to ask them because they said they've been working with some other communities. They may already have the resources that we need to pull together.
Well, that was kind of what I was thinking. Surely somebody else across the state's asked this question, so maybe some of that legwork had already been done, and I really didn't want us to get
Yeah.
20, 30 grand in deep for just a matter of opinion. So I'm good with, you know, if you're good with 5, crossing through 5 and executing it.
I'm really good with 5
Crossing through
myself,
30 and making it.
and I'll just tell them that they're gonna have to give us a quick response on this one.
Well, I mean, just to clarify, I mean, this letter is from them, and the answer is always no if you don't ask. So that's what they ask, and the answer is no.
I mean, we'll go up to, with a not to exceed rate of $5,000. If we hit the 5, then we can back up and punt and figure out.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harris, their opinion as to what it can be spent for, I mean, is there any kind of guarantee on what they give us back and we spend the money, or?
Well, here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna offer an opinion that's predicated primarily on the Treasury Department guidance. And we had that before on the CARES Act, and I read it many times. The problem with the CARES Act, though, is that the guidance was constantly evolving. I mean, it ended up entirely different than the way that it started. So for 8 or 9 months, it read differently. By the time we got to the end, it had changed, and they offered their opinion. One reservation that was held back in the Treasury Department guidance and in the Department of Emergency Management that they communicated to us was that even if they approved an expenditure and told you in writing that they were approving the use of these funds on a certain type of expenditure, they told us they could change their mind later, and then they wouldn't allow that as a qualified expense. So it was terrible. I don't envision that occurring to that extent with these funds, because they've been through the first round, and I think Congress made it very clear they were pretty aggravated with the way that the CARES Act funding was handled. So I think it's going to be different with this. It's pretty obvious to me that there are far more restrictions on the use of these funds than there were with the CARES Act funding. So I think that Congress has been through the learning curve, and they're trying to refine this approach. But in any event, because the law enforcement issue was not specifically spoken to in anything that came out initially, there have been some comments since then, and I read through what the Sheriff's Department gave me that came from a lobbyist that works for Sheriff's Departments about using some of that funding. So I went back and looked at the comments the President had made in a memo, but they need to be mirrored in some type of policy or written guidance out of the Treasury Department, because they relied on the Treasury Department to issue the guidance. That's what we're gonna work from. These people have been working on these issues for a couple of months with other counties and cities. So if we allow them to weigh in, they may get us the answer quicker.
Anything further? All right. At this time, do I have with the changes made to the $5,000 not to exceed, do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lamb. Second by Commissioner White. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving ahead to item number 10, presentation by Mr. Chuck Brannon's office. I believe I see Mr. Dan Hartley here this evening.
I'm here too.
Oh, there he is. I'm sorry.
There's
Hi,
John. He's here to
I see
represent.
that. Welcome, gentlemen.
He didn't want to sit with me for some
Usually they stay together.
I stay close to my senator, so sit by her age.
Welcome, Mr. Brandon.
Thank
I
you.
apologize.
It's good to see all of y'all. I always like coming over and visiting y'all. And I hope y'all are glad to see me, because usually when I come, I bring something. And that's what we're doing again today. Hunter, you want to say anything on behalf of Senator Bradley? I'll turn it over to you for just a second.
Well, yeah, I'm Hunter Peeler. I'm here with Senator Bradley's office. I just want to let you know that she couldn't make it here tonight, but, you know, we're grateful that we can help out in any way that we can. And we look forward to doing it again this coming session.
Awesome.
We really have a good working relationship. Of course, you know, she's got more counties, the Warren Park District, what, 10 counties? Where I have 5, so she can't be at everything. We were in McClenny last night, she was over there with us, we were down in Fort White the other day. And as soon as we get through this, I've got to leave, we're headed up to Hamilton County to bring them a little check too. But we're fortunate that the last 2 or 3 years, we've been able to get some things. I think we got the money for the Bob Holmes Arena, and then last year the fire station, so this year we're back with
Right there beside.
not only a large in stature check, but in the amount of $500,000 to go toward the improvements that you want to make to the Coliseum out there.
That's awesome.
I know it's been there a long time, and it certainly could use some improvement. And I know that when we do this, it's money you don't have to take out of your budget. You can do other things. That's the best part of it. So I won't say anything else. I'll get out of here because I've got to get up the road to Jasper to their meeting at 6. But let's take a picture.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Sure will. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oops, sorry.
Back up, y'all got too big.
Thank y'all. I will say this, and Hunter hears me say this a lot. I had a great relationship with Senator Rob Bradford. But, and you know, Rob was the appropriations chairman, and that was an ace in the hole for us. So we really had a big void to fill. But I tell commissions, both city and county, and the school board last night over in Baker County, that, man, she has come on like gangbusters. What a partner she has been. And I always tell everybody, I said, she exceeded all expectations. Don't tell Rob what I said. Well, last night Rob came with her, and I had to say it in front of him. So thank y'all.
Appreciate you.
We appreciate both of them. Thank you.
All right, moving ahead, we sure appreciate those folks and everything they do for us. They fight and every dollar they can get for us is
No, we
one we can use from somewhere else that we don't have to use for that. I agree with you.
We've been very lucky to have him and Senator Bradley, both Senator Bradley's working hard for Suwannee County.
Absolutely. At this time, have Mr. Ron Meeks. Item number 11, discuss with possible board action, preliminary plat approval of adding range acres. And also number 12, discuss possible board action, preliminary plat approval of Wilburn Oaks. Mr. Meeks, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. The first plat that we have before you for your consideration is preliminary plat approval for adding range acres. It's a subdivision that is located in an agricultural 1 zoning district where the density is 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres. Total size of this subdivision is 45 acres. This subdivision contains 9 lots, each of those being 5 acres in size. Access for the proposed subdivision will be off of 193rd Road, which is an existing county paved road. Plat does show the shared access areas between the lot lines where the driveways will be installed and located to limit the number of driveway access points on 293rd. During the preliminary plat review, there was a couple things that were notated in the review. The first one being an issue with some utility easements. We had some conversations with Kirkhead from Suwannee Valley Electric, and they had kind of, in the past, changed the way they wanted some of the utility easements to lay out. So we coordinated that with the surveyor. There was also, on the actual plat, a line that was shown on the lot lines which indicated building setbacks. It looked very similar to the way utility easements show up on plats. So we had them remove that from the actual plat, put that in the table, so that is now found on the plat itself, rather than showing a building setback on the lot line. And then we've had the utility easement shown there. I coordinated with the surveyor on the project, which is Mr. Nat Combass from North Florida Professional Services. And he did make the necessary corrections to that, provided our office with a digital copy, and we brought some hard copies tonight. So the required corrections have been made, so we would ask the board to give preliminary plat approval for the subdivision at this time. They'll have to wait at least 30 days before they can come back before the board with a final plat approval for the project. So we will just entertain a preliminary plat approval at this time.
At this time, do I have a motion as presented by Mr. Meeks?
Mr. Chairman, I'll motion.
Have a motion by Commissioner Fleming,
Second.
second by Commissioner Land. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Meeks?
Second application is Welborn Oak subdivision. This property is actually located in a residential single-family zoning district where the density is 1 dwelling unit per acre. This is one of the last properties that is within the urban development area of Welborn. It's located on the western boundary of that urban development line. Kind of backs up to what used to be the old Suwannee River Log Homes property that is along there on 90. This portion actually fronts 10A. But the total size of this subdivision is 8 acres, contains a total of 6 lots, and those range from 1.3 acres in size to 1.5 acres in size. The access, again, would be off of 10A. We had the same issues on this plat as we did the previous ones. Those utility easements and setback lines have been corrected. We've been provided a digital copy in our office, and Mr. Combath provided the hard copies tonight. So those will be made part of the file. So with this one, we would entertain preliminary plat approval on this one as well.
At this time, do I have a motion to approve as presented by Mr. Meeks?
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner White. Second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Meeks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
At this time, moving ahead, we have one additional agenda item. Mr. Harris.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm requesting authorization to go in and stabilize and repair some roads that have been flooded. These are 3 roads that we wouldn't typically be performing any work on. This is allowed under the local state of emergency, but I need authorization from the board to do it. I went out and drove these roads. We've got some localized flooding, some bad washouts, and one of the primary concerns that's been communicated is the ability or potential inability to get in and out with emergency vehicles if necessary. I can get in and out because I've got a 4-wheel drive, but a lot of people just can't get in and out of these things. So I've listed those 3 roads on here for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Do I have any questions or comments?
Are these county roads?
They are not county roads that we would typically maintain. So these are what a lot of people would call private roads. I mean, they're not behind gates. They're roads that are cut-through roads that everybody in the world drives on, but we don't maintain them. So under the emergency declaration, we can go in and stabilize these roads at this time.
I don't see why not. If people utilize the road and if as long as it's legal, I'm fine. For that, I'm offer motion to approve.
Well, just right. I had a call by a constituent today with the same issue, and that's what I was doing, was looking to see what road it was. See if we can add it to this while you're doing it. And I haven't even been to look at it yet, so I don't know what we need to do there.
I think what we're gonna end up needing to do is, your declaration is gonna end probably Friday. We'll probably need to go ahead and extend it, because the damage is there. We're gonna have some time to get in and get these things done. So that's something that y'all might wanna consider, is when Friday rolls around, even though that event isn't here, you might need to extend this order, because our manpower can't get all this stuff done in one day, is my point.
To extend that order, we'll have to meet the
160th place.
Do that, and if we-
Well, I contacted Eric today, and he was gonna go look at it tomorrow. But that's kind of in the same
Well, if y'all extend that declaration on Friday, I mean, we would know by then.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can we, two questions.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to meet Friday to do the extension if we can't extend it now since we're all here together?
The problem is you have to do it it's only good for 7 days. Mr. Pravat, I talked about it today, I said, well, it's only good for 7 days, so we need to run the 7 days out, and then it has to be renewed again. And unfortunately, we went through this exercise because of the COVID, and we were not successful in the legislature getting that changed. So we would have to.
He had one more
Oh, you
question.
got
Yeah, my second question was gonna be if we can extend it, because, well, I didn't know this was coming, but I've got same thing as Commissioner White, a couple of folks have called me about the excessive amount of rain, and, you know, I said, well, it's a county road, but we don't maintain it, but, well, can y'all help me out?
What I'm running into is they just wanna fix the hole, they don't have the equipment to fix the holes, really.
The washout.
Yeah, it's washouts is what it is, and that's what they're asking for.
Yeah, there's one other small, and it doesn't show on the map, I'm believing it's an extension of 172nd, which has holes in it, and I need to repair it as well. So it's not here, but it's one that I need to take care of, because it's county runoff that's gone in there and blown these holes down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it, we can extend it and let the rest of us get a little bit of time to address a couple problems that we got that historically haven't been maintained either.
That's not an issue at all. I mean, this all's kind of come about really quickly, so I mean, it's, it doesn't matter where it's at, if it's something that can be fixed, I mean, we need to try to do what we can.
Yeah,
You know, it's, obviously, we're having a conversation because we can't legally fix private roads. But if we're in a situation where we're under emergency order, and also, if competent people, I feel, look at it and deem it, and I'm saying.
It's being caused by
That, or that it needs to be fixed for the safety of the public and for emergency vehicles.
I'm saying medical vehicle, fire, being able to respond,
I
that's
mean-
one of the biggest things.
Yes, I mean, but we need, I think we all understand that if you got a private easement and it's good grass and it happens to have a few little holes in it, it's not gonna qualify for this. I mean, this is, so, and I'm saying, I feel like you gentlemen's probably got some ones that will meet what it needs, because there's some bad ones out there. But,
Mr. Chairman, I just,
yes, sir.
I think it was last year, I think it was in June, when we got a bunch of rain, had some flooding and all, and I think myself and Mr. Harris explored, trying to get some help with the mosquito problem that we had, but it wasn't a state of emergency at that time, if you recall. It is now. Can you explore that as well, when you're looking at some of this?
We can check into it. We've never been real successful with mosquitoes. The only time that we got any assistance was when, I think it was after Tropical Storm Debbie, I believe.
Was that federal funding?
And the
Was that
state was doing it, probably using federal funding, and they did a flyover and did the spraying. But other than that, we haven't.
West Nile thing was going on, wasn't it? They were flying that plane.
Yeah, it was, and, you know, we had tablets that you put in ponds and ditches and things for a while through the EOC, and we may be able to get some more of those. But as far as contracting to have anything done, we've never been successful finding the funding for that. So we would, if you wanna put your list together, get with us, we'll go out and take a look at them. The chairman's right, we'll use our discretion. I mean, your people out there in the road department know where all these problems are anyway, and we'll look at them, and I'm confident that you're gonna need to extend that declaration. And we make it clear as well, it is legal under this condition. Localized flooding, destruction of these roads and make them impassable under this condition when we are under a declared state of emergency, local state of emergency. They would qualify under that condition.
At this time, I believe I had a motion by Commissioner Fleming.
If I might, Mr. Chairman,
So,
Mr. Fleming, might I suggest that with the language that we have in the ordinance, I mean, not ordinance, but on the description here for the agenda item, if you would, for my sake, would you add at the end of it, for ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of those in the community?
Okay.
Just at the end of the,
Okay, I add that for the health, safety, and welfare for the residents of Suwannee County.
So,
I have a motion by Commissioner Fleming, I have a second by Commissioner White. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving ahead, man, I really didn't want to see Mr. Kerry Walden. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. I look forward to the day that I can stand before you and say that we have no COVID in Suwannee County. Unfortunately, after July 4th, we began to see an uptick in our cases, and I wanted to take a few moments and just bring you up to speed and give you an update of where we are in Suwannee County. This started back in way longer than I care to remember. Right now, we have 6,717 total cases since the beginning of COVID. Of that, we have about 667 active cases today. That has increased since back around May, June, when were cases that we were seeing active cases were around 20 to 30 active cases. Our positivity rate in Suwannee County today is 29%, and we like to be under 5%. So there is a concern that we are seeing some community transmission. After July 4th, we noticed the vacations and families coming back, church camps, folks going out of state and coming back. Our cases began to increase substantially. We started out with 30, 40. On now, we're averaging about 72 cases a day. And I'm anticipating to see a peak here shortly in this. The good news is the number of people vaccinated in Suwannee County that are 12 and up is 35%. And that's, we've just recently been able to offer the Pfizer vaccine at the health department, as well as some of our community partners are offering the Pfizer vaccine. So I do anticipate that we'll see that number increase. The even better news is those that are 65 and older in Suwannee County, 60% have been vaccinated. And that is wonderful. Where we are seeing that we're struggling is in our kids, but again, we've just now got Pfizer. Pfizer is the only vaccine that the FDA has given an emergency authorization use for 12 and up. So Pfizer is the only one that we do have Pfizer at the health department. 10% of our 12 to 14-year-olds have been vaccinated, 14% of our 15 to 19, and where we're struggling is between the 20 to 40-year-olds. Only 17% of that group has been vaccinated, and they make up a larger portion of our population here in Suwannee County. On average, I keep track of the folks 18 and under. 25% of our cases that we've been seeing here recently are 18 years or younger. So that has been increasing somewhat compared to where we were back in April, May, and June. We are seeing, as well as an increase in cases, unfortunately, but we are seeing an increase in the number of folks that are wanting to get vaccinated. So we were starting out, had dropped to about, at health department alone, to about 40 a day, and now we're back up to about 60 to 65 folks, and folks are wanting to get in and get that vaccine. So we're still continuing to vaccinate on Tuesdays. We can expand that to other days as the demand increases. We can offer Moderna, and we can offer Pfizer. In our community, we have our partners, CVS, Walgreens, Winn-Dixie, Publix, Chicken Scott. They have Moderna, some have Pfizer, some have J&J. We will not be getting any more J&J at the health department because the state cash has been depleted. But there are still some vendors in town that do have the J&J, and that Johnson & Johnson is just a single dose. We are having cases in our long-term care facilities. Fortunately, it is not like it was way back in March of last year. About 90% of the residents or greater are vaccinated, which is wonderful. So those that are getting sick, their symptoms are not as severe, and we're not seeing the hospitalization rates that we once saw. Sad news is all those folks that work in long-term care facilities, 95% or more are not vaccinated. So we're seeing that folks coming that work in the healthcare arena that are not vaccinated can be carriers. We are seeing cases where folks that are fully vaccinated are contracting COVID. So I want to be clear that just because you're vaccinated, it will not keep you from getting COVID. You can still be susceptible. However, getting vaccine will limit your symptoms. It'll be less likely to put you in the hospital. It'll be less likely to give you a run for your money or to be very damaging to you. And we're seeing that the new strain, the Delta strain, it spreads a lot quicker, but it's making folks more sick. But the vaccine will combat your symptoms if you were to contract COVID-19. Schools have started back, and that's why I wanted to wait at least a weekend to come give you a report. We've had a great start to the school year. There are cases among students and among faculty, our personnel, but it's not rampant like some might fear. We are seeing on the contact tracing, on average, if a student is testing positive, we're seeing anywhere from 8 to 11 close contacts. And close contacts are less than 15, or greater than 15 minutes, less than 6 feet. So we've been spending a lot of time this summer with the school superintendent and his administrative team talking about how do we do contact tracing, what do we look at, how we're going to go about this, and we're all in agreement to attack it pretty much like we did last year. They're doing the seating charts, trying to reconfigure their classrooms, making sure folks are social distancing as much as possible. The state surgeon general did pass an executive order, and we're able to get public school children back in a lot quicker under some of the guidance that's been changed in the contact tracing, whether you're a positive or a close contact. So that is getting kids back into the school setting as quickly as possible. Also, if you've been fully vaccinated and you're asymptomatic, have no symptoms, you can return to school, you can return to work. And if you've had COVID within the last 90 days and you are asymptomatic, you can return to work, return to school. You do not have to be quarantined. So there's been some change in guidance relative to getting folks back to work and getting folks back to school. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. I don't want to belabor the point, just wanted to let you know that it's there. We are working closely within our community partners. We are also looking at potentially doing some additional testing to see if there's the demand, how big the demand is, how strong the demand is. I do encourage folks, we're seeing in some of our testing facilities with our community partners, if you're well, there's no really reason for you to test. And that can take a spot away from somebody that's sick, that's symptomatic, that needs to be tested. So I told folks, if you're not sick, no need to be tested, because if you test today and you're negative, that does not mean that you're negative for the next 7, 14 days. So you're only negative at the point in time of testing. So we certainly want folks that if you are symptomatic, if you feel that there's a reason you need to be tested, then by all means do that. But if you're not vaccinated, the best way that you can get ahead of COVID and to limit your exposure and or your symptoms is to get vaccinated. So, and with that, I'll be brief and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Do I have some questions? Commissioner Land.
Mr. Walden, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Do you have a current, like, up-to-date death toll for our county due to the virus?
No, I do not. The state has changed the recording of their information. We used to get daily reports. That has moved to weekly reports, and I do not have the exact breakdown. There have been some deaths attributed to folks in Suwannee County, but also when the death occurs and if it has to go to the medical examiner, there's a delay a lot of times in us getting that information.
I understand. I was just curious of the impact that it's had here recently. And then my second question would be, I see the governor's been setting up these monoclonal antibody type. Can you touch on that? Like, what exactly is that? Is it beneficial? Are we getting one? Do we need to go find one?
This is very new. That's basically has come out like yesterday.
Yeah.
For us as well at the health department, that monoclonal antigen therapy treatment. It's basically 2 types of infusions that are given simultaneously to help those that either have had COVID as a treatment or in the early stages, not late stages, but in the early stages, if you were to test positive and like with day 2, day 3, they're recommending you can go get this treatment that will limit, will help your symptoms and how it affects you. And those that maybe are a close contact that are immunocompromised. I'm still reading about it and learning about it as well, because I do not profess to be a medical doctor, and some of the stuff I can't pronounce, like casirivimab and imdevimab and all of that. So it is an anti-antigen therapy that does an infusion. My understanding that it takes about an hour, and then you're observed for an hour afterwards. The governor has opened up some state sites, and there are 7 regions in the state, and they're currently looking at a spot in Region 2, which is the region that Suwannee County's in. So I'm not sure where it's going to be, but it has to be where there's a facility that can come in, that's air conditioned, that can treat people, take care of people, because the wait period's a little longer than getting your vaccine. But they are encouraging folks that if you test positive for COVID and you are immunocompromised, to go seek treatment as quickly as possible. And then if you're a close contact and you're immunocompromised, what they call a host, to go and seek treatment. That's about the Reader's Digest version I can give you. I asked the question today, where in Region 2 would this be? And
Suwannee ER.
have you,
Opens tomorrow at Suwannee ER.
I like this man already. You can come in if you would. Because you got more recent information than I do.
Chairman, Commissioners, on a meeting I had with Lake City Medical Center's CEO and staff today, tomorrow will be the first day of the mononuclear, whatever, same thing, trying to pronounce all these words. It does have certain criteria that you have to meet to be eligible to have the treatment. But it sounds like to me, there's gonna be people coming here from the region to Suwannee ER to have it done. They're setting it up in the old cafeteria at the hospital, but it's supposed to start tomorrow. And I do know that the CEO and other high-level staff members were here today planning for that, so we will have that. I'll let Mr. Waldron finish up, and then if you have any questions for him, and then I just have a quick update on hospitals.
Any other questions, Mr. Waldron?
I do have one, just to clarify, I know you told us before, but for public knowledge, if someone's looking to get vaccinated or get the shot, what are the criteria for that? Like you have to be so many days out from not having the virus or having contact with someone before you can get that first shot, is that what I understand?
Yeah. If you've had COVID within the last 14 days, you can't get the shot. And if you've had any other vaccines in the last 10 days, you cannot get the shot otherwise. Chief, that's great news on that, because that's going to be exciting for our community and that facility out there. But also, we did receive right before I left this afternoon, it looks like we're going to be able to offer the booster shot. Everybody's asking about booster shots, which is a third vaccine, whether it be Pfizer or Moderna. I'm reading up on that because we just got the consent form, but it's going to be those that are immunocompromised or feel like they have moderate to severe something with their system that they would warrant them getting the second shot or the third shot. And you have to wait 28 days after your second dose before you could qualify for that. So just got that information, and we're reviewing that now, and we'll be meeting with our staff to determine how best we're going to set that up. Probably we will look at doing a separate day for third doses, just in case there's the demand for that.
One more.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how to ask this question, but I talked to a feed store owner here a week or so ago, and the availability of Ivomec is scarce. They can't hardly keep it on the shelf if they can get it. Has the state taken a position on, is that, and the chief may know this answer too, is it qualified, does it work, because people are surely buying it and trying it?
I've talked to probably the same people you have locally, and it's hard to get. There is no guidance from the FDA, CDC, or the Department of Health relative to whether that works or not.
I want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Thank you, Ms.
No
Ball.
pun intended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Or you up there? Chief?
Chairman, Commissioners, I just want to give you a quick update kind of on, and also for the public's knowledge, the state that all of our local and regional hospitals are in. Every one of them is completely full. Lake City Medical Center has been on diversion on and off now for a week, which put quite a strain on our service, having to take patients out of the county we've taken some to Madison, we've taken some to South Georgia, we've taken a lot of Gainesville, and these are not inter-facility transfers, these are 911 calls because we don't have a hospital that can handle the patient. So we were off diversion over the weekend, and we went back on today. Lake City's census was 152 patients. They have 103 beds, so that tells you how crowded they are. Both them and North Florida Regional last week, they've got so many critical patients on oxygen that they weren't out of oxygen, but their system would not flow anymore. They were at maximum flow on the building. So North Florida Regional was able to bring in an engineering team and split their towers and have an oxygen trailer sitting outside, feed one tower, and the main system feeds the other tower. The medical center got their census back down enough to be able to get underneath the critical flow levels. The biggest thing that I want to kind of instill in the public is that right now it's unprecedented times that we're dealing with, and by all means, if you're having an emergency, call 911. But if you're not having an emergency, our service is severely taxed. On top of everything that we're doing, I also have quite a few employees out with COVID, so we're having to work double and triple shifts sometimes. Some of the guys have administration guys on the trucks covering spots. It's been a tough couple of weeks, but I want the public to understand that the hospital right now isn't, unless you're having an emergency, it's not really the place you want to be because it's full of COVID patients, and it's a good opportunity. If you don't have it, you can get it, just because there's so many patients there. So if you're having a true emergency, by all means, call us and we're going to come and take care of you just like we always have. But if it's something that your doctor can take care of tomorrow, or urgent care can take care of tomorrow, or something, the emergency rooms just can't handle the extra patients right now because they're so overloaded with critical patients. We're doing the best we can. The hospitals are working night and day. They brought in corporate HCA has hired extra ambulances from all over the southeast to come in and help transfer patients out from Lake City and try to ease up the load. The problem that we're running into when Lake City goes on diversion, Suwannee kind of goes on diversion, and I'm having to work with them to be able to take patients there that are non-critical, to ease up the load of us having to take everybody out of county. And they're working with us well on it, but if you do have any of your constituents call you and complain about the hospitals and the different things, believe me, they're understaffed, overworked, and full. So they're doing everything that they can to assist the community, and I'm having daily meetings with all of the leadership at the hospitals, and they're keeping us informed. But we're really in unprecedented times, and I really hope to see a peak soon because it's trying on everybody. They're having nurses quit left and right. Trying to get staff. They've shut all elective surgeries down. Any space within a hospital that they can put somebody, they're utilizing the space right now. It would not surprise me, it has not been mentioned yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's too much longer that because they're so need space so bad if they didn't open the wings up back here in my office. Yeah, they haven't mentioned it yet. I know there's a lot of hoops they have to jump through to do that because they kept only enough beds active to keep it to where it could be opened again and not have to go through. But so it's not just let's say the day it's open, there's some legalities there they have to go through to open it back up, but they're in dire need of space, and without a state of emergency in the state, they can't do some of the things, you know, as far as putting up like a field tent, you know, field hospital to take some of the lower acuity patients to ease up the load on the emergency room. They're not able to do that unless, you know, the state was in a state of emergency for it. So, like I said, we're all doing the best we can and working through it, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on it.
Chief, I got a question for you real quick. How's your staff doing now? And then
We're doing better. We, at one point, our highest numbers out was 17 people, which was basically the entire shift. We dropped to 14 the day after that. Got down to, I think the lowest we got down to was 8, and then 3 more went out. So it's kind of jumping up and down a little bit. Fortunately, none of my guys have gotten serious. They've been, I've had a few that were sick, pretty sick for 2 or 3 days. Only one had to be admitted to the hospital, but he got out the next day, and is doing a lot better. And the rest of them were able to, you know, spend a few days at home and got over it and have come back to work. So it's, I think, you know, we made it through the entire last year with only 5 or 6 guys catching it. And this variant just seems to be a lot more contagious and, you know, and like I said, we've been blessed. Some of the departments I know right now, you know, I ask for prayers for the chief and lieutenant of City Fire in Lake City. They're both in Shannon's in very critical condition on ventilators, so it's been, you know, a lot of folks in emergency services, whether sheriffs, you know, several sheriff's office and other fire departments and corrections and different things, and folks that have actually passed away from it. We've been fortunate that our guys have gotten through it pretty much unscathed. But every one of them that catches it said it's the worst thing they've ever been through in their life. They don't want it ever again.
thank you. Yes, sir. Mr.
Chief, when your guys go to assist patients, do they have, are they wearing protection?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have our full. They have the full protection. We've been fortunate. We've got a very good stock of everything. But they wear gowns, gloves, eye protection, masks, everything when they go. They wear a mask on every call. And if it's a potential of a COVID positive or a COVID positive, then they're gowning up, and we limit their contact. One paramedic goes in and does the assessment. If you know, depending on the situation of the patient, if, you know, they're not having respiratory distress and are able to walk, they'll walk them to the unit and put them in the truck by themselves, so it only exposes one of the crew members during the call. We're back to our full COVID protocols that we started last year. Learned a lot through that, so that's a good thing. We're still doing our disinfection of the trucks after every call, spraying with our sprayers. Our stations are getting sprayed twice a day, at minimum. But some of my guys are really germaphobes, so some days they get sprayed 4 or 5 times a day. But they're like I said, we're doing everything we can to try to limit it. It's just this time it's jumped on our department, and it's not. I mean, it's other county departments as well. I know Mr. Harris is dealing with it in his departments, and but we're you know, I want to just, you know, I want to publicly say I'm super proud of our guys. They've been, like I said, they have been working more than they should have to work to make sure we can keep the ambulances on the road, take care of the public, and I'm looking forward to this getting back to normal, because those guys deserve a break. They've been really working hard, but I'm super proud of them for pulling together, and so I told them we got to stay together as a team and we'll get through it, and you know, and I know we will.
Thank you for that update, Chief, and we're here for you.
Yeah, thanks for what you do, and hospital staff too. I mean, those folks out there, nurses and whatnot, here in the county are just
Absolutely. Just
overwhelmed.
welcome, sir. Just name and address for the record.
Moses Clipper, 14581 102nd Path. Particular interest in this, my daughter I've got, 3 family members and a close friend suffering this right now. Hadn't heard anything, don't mean to be insulting, but I did 5 years of medical studies, and so I'm not a doctor, not licensed, but I care about people that are sick, and I got a little ignorance in me, country ignorant, and I didn't go get tested, but I'm sure I lived through it, my wife and I both. I experienced the illness I never experienced before. It lasted 6 weeks. Thought I was gonna die for several days, and I earned 310, and we survived. We got up, WebMD, that's what I'm up here to do. I highly recommend people to do your own research, all right? Not up here spreading propaganda, although I think there's a heavy influence of it going on, and I'll save my opinion on that. What I'm actually up here to do is to share, if I may, read a little bit of the research I had, and I highly encourage everyone to do some of their own research. One thing I've not heard from anybody, the animal testing results on these pseudo vaccines. I don't know anyone claiming what long-term effects these pseudo vaccines, so-called vaccines, are not vaccines. I'm not anti-vax. I come up when you got smallpox and TB and all that. They're proven. Animal testing is not. What is proven is that some of our governor has brought in that monoclonal, I can't say it either, therapy, and they're having good results with that. The ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, both of those have thousands of doctors with more than thousands of patients surviving and coming through this. Nobody's talking about the deaths. They're talking about the cases. Cases don't mean anything. You get sick, you survive. 90 plus is probably an average. I mean, it's argued, but over 95% survival rate of this illness, and they're wanting us to take a vaccine that they can't tell us what's going to happen to us 6 months, a year, 5 years from now from taking this vaccine.
Well, I appreciate your comments on that, but I mean, I'm gonna disagree with you on the vaccine. I think that's people's choice, and I don't want you pushing not to take the vaccine is what I'm saying.
I'm just pointing out.
Well, I
some
mean, you
things
don't
that-
support it, and you're expressing that you don't support it, but I mean, we got people in this county that's dying. I got 5 texts right here, people went in the hospital since I've been in this meeting, right here. And my mom was asking me to pray for in this meeting, so I don't wanna open this, I mean, I'm respectful to your comments, but I don't wanna turn this into a political thing where we don't like the vaccine or it doesn't work. I mean, that's everybody's choice.
It is everybody's choice. My point was to people who educate themselves.
Right.
And so I'll go to this, what I really want to put out there, with the hydroxychloroquine, the ivermectin, and the monoclonal antibody therapy. Please do your research on those. They have dosages that you could get, doctors will prescribe it. And there's this one here is the main thing I want to put. It's a short reading. It's from a COVID survivor group. They heard many of these before, but it seems helpful. How to fight COVID at home. No one ever talks about how to fight COVID at home. I came down with COVID in November. I went to the hospital running a fever of 103, a rapid heartbeat, and other common symptoms that come with COVID. While I was there, they treated me for high fever, dehydration, and pneumonia. The doctor sent me home to fight COVID with 2 prescriptions, azithromycin, 250 milligrams, and dexamethasone, 6 milligrams. When the nurse came in to discharge me, I asked her, what can I do to help fight this at home? She said, sleep on your stomach at all times with COVID. If you can't sleep on your stomach because of health issues, sleep on your side. Do not lay on your back, no matter what, because it smashes your lungs and that will allow fluid to set in. Set your clock every 2 hours while sleeping on your stomach, then get out of bed and walk for 15 to 30 minutes, no matter how tired or weak you are. Also move your arms around frequently. It helps to open your lungs. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. This will help build up your lungs, plus get rid of the pneumonia or other fluids you may have. When sitting in a recliner, sit up straight, do not lie back in the recliner. Again, this will smash your lungs. While watching TV, get up and walk during every commercial. Eat at least 1 or 2 eggs a day, plus bananas, avocados, asparagus. These are good for potassium. Drink Pedialyte, Gatorade Zero, Powerade Zero, and water electrolytes to prevent you from becoming dehydrated. Do not drink anything cold. Have it at room temperature or warm it up. Water with lemon and a little honey, peppermint tea, apple cider are good suggestions for getting in fluids. No milk products or pork. Vitamins D3, C, B, zinc, probiotic, 1 a day are good ideas. Tylenol for fever, Mucinex or Mucinex DM for drainage, plus helps to cough. Pepsid helps for cramps in your legs. 1 baby aspirin every day can help preventing a blood clot, which people are dying of blood clots. Can occur from low activity. That's pretty much it. I don't hear enough of preventative.
I understand, and I don't mean no disrespect to you whatsoever, and I appreciate you saying there's other things out there people choose to treat themselves and try to be preventative. I don't, but I mean, I'm passionate about this, I'm not gonna lie, it's everybody's choice if they want the vaccine or not, and I don't want one person to ever think they shouldn't get it because any one of us, and I'm speaking for myself, I don't want to talk one person out of not getting it. I mean, obviously, this thing has come back and it's fierce, and we've got to be together. Everybody's got to be together. It can't be about if we think something's good or bad. I mean, we as Americans have to band together and beat this. Now, if that means get the vaccine or don't get the vaccine, I'm not saying that, but the problem is we're out here, half of us are here and half of us are here, and we're fighting about things because people are on 2 sides, and that's not America. America is people together. That's Americans. And I don't know how we get there. You know, I get frustrated, but I mean, I want to go back to America being what it was when I was a little boy. And I mean, that's everybody. I want America to go back to being what it was on 9/11, when you looked outside and everybody had a flag at their house. That's what I want. That's what solves the world's problems, not what we've got right now. And I don't know how we get there, and it breaks my heart.
Transparency and truth, I believe, will get us a long way. It breaks my heart too. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward, Mr. Norris, Jimmy Norris.
Three minutes.
He's not a county employee. He gets all the time he needs.
That says
You got bosses up here.
That says 300.
What he's pointing to, he's saying the 3 minutes started when he stood up from his chair. That's what he's pointing
He
to.
wanted us to go ahead and start it, back it up. I got you.
Well, as long as we're talking about COVID, I'm not talking about COVID. So anyway, nothing from me on that. I'll leave that to the professionals and to the concerned, obviously. So been there, done that. It wasn't fun. So I feel for everybody that's got it. But just wanted to real quick, you guys remember, we did the whole campaign this previous year. It's called I Am Suwannee, and we showed the video in here and all that good stuff. So this has been done for several weeks, but we've had so much stuff going on and budgets and things going on. I hadn't had a chance to bring it up here to you, but I just wanted to bring you the print version of what that campaign was. And these are, you'll see everything in here is local people. These are the local players. If you go on the back, you'll see all the businesses that took part in that campaign. And
You got some of these for
yes, I brought a whole stack. I'll put out on the table outside for the public to have. And basically, this is the print version. This is what we'll be carrying to Tallahassee with us. And other places that we go, we'll be handing them out in our office. Just talks about business in Suwannee County, and then kind of the center of it is the Catalyst site. And as you'll see, it shows the businesses that are there. But then it shows a rendering of, you know, just what could be there. Of course, we have no idea what may be coming. It may be one huge warehouse, or it may be 50. But this is just showing that it's here, it's in Suwannee County, and just wanted you guys to be able to take a look at it. We're proud of it. I think it turned out nice. So We'll have some for the public, and if any of you guys or any business owner wants any of these for their business, please don't hesitate to contact our office and we'll be able to get them for you. Next thing real quick, I'll give a shout out to, of course, Mr. Babb, Mr. Harris had some part in that as well, I know, and of course Shannon over here, that grant that you guys so graciously let us apply for, was submitted today at about 4:30. That required hours and hours and hours of work over the last several weeks. I'm talking works on at night, on the weekend, numerous phone calls, numerous emails, and we probably spent 3 hours today on the computer as a group with Windstream getting that submittal. I do want to remind everybody, there's only $288 million, and there was about 3,000 counties out there, so there's only going to be a dozen people that get this. So I don't want to put a damper on it, but we worked really hard on it. Shannon put in tons of effort, Mr. Pravat and the whole team. So just anybody that supported the project, I just want to thank them. So hopefully it works. If we were to get it, how many miles?
1,119.
That's how many miles of new fiber will be put in Suwannee County if we get the grant. Almost 1,200 miles.
Awesome.
So, anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the update. At this time, I will open the floor to public comment. Do I have anyone else wishing to speak this evening? Yes, sir. Welcome, Mr. Hamilton. Just name and address for the record, sir.
Good evening.
As always.
Wayne Yannick, 11883 93rd Road, Cairo. The chief said something that just sparked my interest about the hospital and that there are still beds there that have not been decommissioned. I would ask you guys, because if you are the only ones that can put enough pressure on HCA to open those beds up again. It's kind of ludicrous that we're diverting, going someplace else, and we've got patients in Suwannee County that could be here. I know that's a financial decision for HCA, but if you put some pressure on them, I really think, especially now, we might think about opening these beds again.
I'm in 100% agreement with that. I mean, it's disappointing to us, and we all feel the same way about it needs to be. And I think it's a great idea, and if this board supports the idea, I would ask our office to draft a letter, and I would sign it, and we would get it to those folks.
Yeah, I'm 100% support that. Now would be a good time to ask them. I mean,
I know you got some new leadership there. I think the contact we had is no longer there, so I think it's time to make contact with them for sure.
I think it really has to come from the governor, because it has to go through HCA. So you need to let the governor know that, hey, we could use this hospital now.
I'm like to be involved and make that happen. Gentlemen, we got a consent.
Yes, sir.
We'll get a letter out and, to both of them, actually. We can send a letter to the governor's office and to HCA.
okay.
We'll get it typed up, get it to them.
Thank you.
We'll start there.
Want to bring that up.
Thank you
so
good
much.
idea. Good idea.
I think just to be equal and fair, send it to Bradley and Brandon and,
Yes.
also the con.
Their office helped a lot last year. They had the, nursing home issues.
Yeah.
Some Shaw's we was in on.
I think that's a very good idea to send it to our, not only our state, but our federal representatives. I mean, like it, all of them,
All of them.
same letter.
Yep.
Sounds good. We'll make that happen. Anybody else wishing to speak? Seeing none, at this time, I'll close public comment. We'll go to closing comments. Mr. Wright, you have anything additional?
Yes, sir, not tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Harris?
Briefly. And I'm not interested in getting into politics of the whole vaccine or no vaccine either, but I do want to say this. I'm really big on vitamins and supplements and alternative medicine and everything in the world, and always have been. But I had that virus last year, about a year from now, and it wasn't pleasant. And my wife had it as well. And we were some of those that just were not going to get vaccinated. And when those case numbers were going way down all over the place, we thought that was wonderful. But when this thing came back with a vengeance, and we started having firemen drop out with this, and more of our staff dropped out, and it's just everywhere. Coupled with the fact that you can't see it coming. I mean, I've got so much traffic coming in and out of our building every day, all day long, that you just don't see it coming. I decided it was a good idea that maybe we consider the vaccine. So I spoke to Carrie about it last week, and my wife and I sat down, we did all the studying and all the research ourselves, and we decided to give the Moderna vaccine. And one thing I wanted to say, this is the purpose of this comment, it is more convenient today to get the vaccine than it's ever been. I mean, I know the cases are running through the roof, and I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. That's an individual decision that everyone has to make. But it is definitely more convenient than ever before, and I'm thankful for the partners in the community. We ended up going to Publix on a Tuesday evening, and we didn't have to stand in line. There was no one around. It was really easy to get in and out. I will say, it wasn't pleasant for the next couple of days. Now, thankfully, Carrie told me that if you've had the vaccine, that it appears that those that get the Moderna, I mean, if you've had the virus, that it appears that if you're gonna get the vaccine, the Moderna has fewer side effects than some of the others. I'm glad you told me that, because I got the Moderna, and I'm really thankful that I didn't get a different one. Because we had a pretty miserable time for a couple of days, and it's probably just because we're old. But it is definitely easier. I'm thankful for the locations in our county where you can get the vaccine today if you want it. And I understand that the tests are fairly readily available in a number of locations as well. That's all I wanted to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner White?
I'm good, thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fleming?
I'm gonna be brief, Mr. Chairman also. I don't want to be political about it, but, it went through my family. And it hit me hard. I couldn't walk for 3 days. 3 days I couldn't walk. I crawled, bear crawled. And then when I couldn't walk and couldn't crawl, and I had to start walking, trying to walk. But, I'll say to Mr. Walden, I appreciate what you did. And you helped me out. It would turn out to be a blessing. If I went to, legislative day, you told me you would get that shot before you went to Tallahassee, you encouraged me. I thought twice about taking it, but I'm glad that I did, and I'm looking forward to the third one if I have to, because I don't want to deal with that, I don't want to go through that. It is real. Numbers don't lie. We lost a state employee, funeralized him down in Dixie County Thursday. He went on vacation, he and his wife, and they came back last week and put him in the hospital, put him on ventilator. He gave up. I called him home, and kind of devastating to lose an employee, a person that you see every night, and they're no longer there. I'm not going to discourage, but I will encourage. And I'm thankful and grateful that I did do it, and that I'm here. I've saw people that, and every one of us know people that have been on, but devastating. It's a bad thing. It's unknown, and we don't know. We just playing time. We gotta believe. We gotta believe on him and trust that he will take it through. Mr. Chairman, I want to preach tonight. So I'm pass it on down.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Mr. Land?
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch on the vaccine, that's personal choice, but I just ask that the community and we all just pray. A lot of people, we've lost some really good, community leaders in our community, and we got a lot more that are suffering in the hospital fighting. We just lean on the Lord and, pray daily for health and healing for those folks. I will share something a little lighter with you. Kind of melts my heart, but I usually get my book on Fridays and study it over the weekend. And before I walk out the door on either Monday or Tuesday, I set it on the bar. Before I leave, I grab it. Well, I opened it up when I sat down here, and I got a little note from my 6-year-old. It says, "You are the best dad ever. I love you, Daddy." And it's a little heart, but that doesn't, I opened it up and it fell out. I was like, what? I mean, she's a little rough rider, but anyway,
Awesome.
I got a little surprise.
Anything else?
No, sir, that's it.
Commissioner Hill.
I'm just gonna echo what you guys say, since it's brought up the vaccine, I'm just glad we all have a choice, and I hope that we make the right choice. So, that's all I'll say about that. There's a lot of things out there, as he said, we can research. I've been doing my research on all of it, now everyone else does too, but, you guys mentioned it, I tell you, our community is not just necessarily COVID, we've got a lot of things going on in our community right now that, people are being affected by, and I say this, I try to say it every meeting. Don't forget to pray for them, pray for yourself, pray for your families, and you see what's going on around this world, I think we need to be praying for all the above. That's really all I gotta say.
Thank you. Just what we really already said, I mean, Mr. Clipper, I want to apologize to you. I mean, it, you know, we're passionate about things, and I'm well known for making headlines around here in the newspapers. I give them something to write about, so I'm sure that'll get there too, but, at the end of the day, I'm gonna fight as hard as I can for this county, and I just appreciate these fellows being up here helping me do that, and I appreciate all our county employees. Just a lot of people hurting right now in this country, as Commissioner Hale said, there's a lot of people hurting. I thank our military. I ask God to give them guidance, and all these years they've put in to see things go bad. I'm not casting the blame on anybody, because I can tell you this, at the end of the day, blame does not solve any problems. We have to figure out, as Americans, how to solve those problems. So, we can all point fingers, but that doesn't get us nowhere. We gotta look to the man above, try to help us, guide us through this, and make peace with each other, and just realize we're better than some of the things that actually happens on a day-to-day basis. But, my thoughts are with Mr. Bill Riggins, Miss Linda Riggins, Miss Vivian Scott, Chris Brantley. Those are names on my list, and just the last little bit, and, I just heart's breaking. I mean, people are just, it's terrible. I appreciate Carrie for everything you do. I mean, been fighting it a year and a half now, and still fighting it. It's coming back around for a second time.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned a few names, and I'm pretty sure every one of us can sit up here and just name after
Right.
name, but, I did want to mention Ms. Mabel Locke.
Absolutely, yeah.
She's having a hard time as well, so definitely keep her in prayer.
And a lot of these things, you know, there again, I'm not gonna sit here and try to tell you that COVID caused all these things. People have a lot of health issues, and we're susceptible to anything. And as we know, you go and it's called COVID. I'm not getting in that argument. I'm just saying, at this time, these people are sick, I don't know, and they're, you know, they need our prayers, along with many hundreds of others in this county, and hundreds of thousands across this country. But, I just ask each one of you to try to go forward and make a difference. Just try to make a difference. I mean, the biggest thing is we get so busy and caught up in our day-to-day lives that we don't reach out to our friends and fellow Americans and let them know that we care and think about them. And we've lost that way, and we have to get that back. We have to start on the county level, have to go to a state level, have to go to a national level. And I'm not talking about through politics, I'm talking about small scale, bigger scale, great big scale, but we can get there. We can get back to where it was. We've showed, this country has showed us how great it can be, and we can get there again. Just takes time, takes patience, diligence, takes the one thing it takes that we gotta find is everybody on the exact same page. We get there, it'll be great. So, this time all needs a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor say aye. Aye.